take the bread of life, broken for all my sin, your body crucified to make me whole again. I will recall the cup poured out in sacrifice to trade the sinner's aid for your new covenant. Hallelujah, I live my life in remembrance. Hallelujah, your promise I won't forget. I walk salvation's road with fear and trembling, your way born as my own, as Christ is formed in me. Hallelujah, I live my life in remembrance. Hallelujah, your promise I won't forget. If ever I should lose my way, if ever I deny your grace, remind me of the price you paid. Hallelujah, I live in remembrance. You've been so, so good to me. You've been so, so good to me. Oh, to think where I would be if not for you, if not for you. You've been so, so good to me. You've been so, so good to me. Oh, to think where I would be if not for you, if not for you. You've been so, so good to me, Lord. You've been so, so good to me. Oh, to think where I would be if not for you, if not for you. As far as heights reach from the depths, as far as east is from the west, so far your grace has carried me. Until I see you face to face, until at last I've won my race, remind me you're not finished yet. Hallelujah, 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 I live in remembrance.
Today, we come to honor and remember. As the scripture says, the memory of the righteous is blessed, but the name of the wicked will rot.
Those who honor God and live by God's law leave behind a memorable legacy.
A good name is better than precious ointment, and the day of death than the day of birth.
Those who live on recall the blessings that accompanied their lives.
The psalmist tells us the righteousness of the person who fears the Lord endures forever.
He will be remembered forever.
Let us now offer this time as a time of remembering.
Let us pray. Creator God, the source of our being, you are the beginning and ending of all things. You promise to wipe away every tear, that death and mourning will be no more. You make your home among us and abide with us as our God. We thank you for giving us a life that declares your goodness and love. We thank you, O Lord, that you have made each of us in your own image and given us gifts and talents with which to serve you. We thank you for the life of Ambassador Antonio P. VILLAMOR and the years we shared with him, the good we saw in him, the love we received from him. Now give us strength and courage to leave him in your care, confident in your promise of eternal life through Jesus Christ our Lord. Be with us, O Lord, in this hour of remembering. Amen.
As it was in the beginning, If there is one Philippine diplomat I will never forget, that will have to be Ambassador Tony Villamor. So I would have to say that I would not be enjoying the career I have now as a diplomat and as a member of the Philippine Foreign Service if not for Ambassador Tony. It was he who convinced me and who inspired me to pursue this career. I was at a crossroads in my career many, many years ago, and I had the chance to speak with Ambassador Tony. So during our conversation, he convinced me and he inspired me to try my luck in the Foreign Service Officers exam. Of course, he didn't just encourage me to pursue what he said was one of the most difficult exams offered by the Philippine government, but he was also very generous in his advice, in his time, and in sharing with me plenty of stories about the Philippine Foreign Service. And those stories really inspired me. It made me want to become a part of the Philippine Foreign Service. And here I am now, 7 years since we spoke about taking the Foreign Service Officers exam. Ambassador Tony, thank you so much for all the encouragement and for believing in me, for believing that I would be a wonderful part of the Philippine Foreign Service and that I'd have what it takes to serve our Filipino citizens, not only in the Philippines, but also overseas. To the family of Ambassador Villamor, I'm sending my deepest condolences. I know that no words will be enough to comfort you in these very difficult times.
Let us all rise for the scripture reading. Our first reading comes from the book of Jeremiah, chapter 1, verse 5. Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you, and before you were born, I consecrated you. I appointed you a prophet to the nations. Matthew chapter 6, verses 19 to 21. Do not store up for yourselves treasures on earth, where moth and rust consume and where thieves break in and steal. But store up for yourselves treasures in heaven, where neither moth nor rust consumes, and where thieves do not break in and steal. For where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. Our third reading is taken from the book of John, chapter 5, verses 25 and verses 28 to 29. Very truly, I tell you, the hour is coming and is now here, when the dead will hear the voice of the Son of God, and those who hear will live. Do not be astonished at this, for the hour is coming when all who are in the graves will hear his voice and will come out, those who have done good to the resurrection of life, and those who have done evil to the resurrection of condemnation. This is the word of God. Thanks be to God. Let us all be seated.
Greetings, friends. We have gathered here to celebrate the life of Ambassador Attorney Antonio Tony P. Villamor. To me, a good friend, a DFA colleague, my mentor, and fellow Sillimanian. Let me open with the words of two poets. One, Bulwer Lytton. There is no death. Our stars go down to rise upon some fairer shore, and bright in heaven's jeweled crown they shine forevermore. Number two, George Meredith. Into the hand that made the rose shall I with trembling fall. And let us remind ourselves of a part of John 3:16, that whoever believes in him shall not perish, but have everlasting life. Knowing Ambassador Villamor's zest for life and work, he has moved on to a new and wondrous world beyond anything we can ever imagine. And so we are here today not to mourn, but to celebrate the life of Ambassador Villamor. Friends, as we all know, Ambassador Villamor finished his pre-law degree, Associate in Arts, here in Silliman in 1953. We might imagine at that time a cozy but spacious campus ringed by acacia trees in the air, and a quadrangle without fences and gates, and ringed by trimmed violet flower bushes on the ground, and a stirring view from the SU Church to the sea, with the Hibbard Hall, the main library on the right, and the Science Building on the left, and farther away, Guy Hall and the Assembly Hall, which was on the ground floor of Silliman Hall. We remember a quiet and peaceful Dumaguete of gentle people, bicycles and tartanillas, the boulevard as a friendly concrete carpet welcoming both locals and visitors, and Alfonso Trece Street dominated by Park and Main theaters and edifices like the Funda Bookstore, the Manuel Teves building that housed Foundation College at the corner of Alfonso Trece and San Jose Streets, the Rizal Grocery, which is now where the Lee Plaza now stands, and across from it, the Cosmos Bakery, which was along with the Dainty Restaurant, and where the Jollibee now is located. And there is that Park Hotel, the venue for social events, farther down towards the plaza, which is now Unit Top. Ambassador Villamor was a product of these quiet, romantic, and rustic surroundings of Silliman and Dumaguete of the 1950s. And I think so was I as a Silliman graduate Silliman High School in 1962. Here in quiet greenery, in classrooms of learning, of exciting co-curricular events, and close association among students and between students and faculty was nurtured the Silliman spirit. The spirit forever embedded in the hearts of Sillimanians as they roamed the world. The spirit that beat in the heart of Ambassador Villamor for as long as he lived. Indeed, the career that Ambassador Ambassador Villamor and myself entered would seem to fit the last stanza of the Silliman song that goes, "When we leave the halls of Silliman, roam the world or near and far, still the faith and truth she gave us will remain our guiding star." Indeed, friends, the career of a foreign service officer is one of serving the country by roaming the world. Diplomats represent the country in negotiations, visitations and summits, international meetings, socials and ceremonials. But as is happening today, we are also frontliners engaged in saving and repatriating our OFWs from political turmoil like in Ukraine now, and from pandemics, earthquakes, and other disasters, and from prison. We also prepare the President's visits to foreign countries and the visitations to Manila of foreign presidents. Ambassador Villamor mastered the mechanics of these ceremonial visitations. Friends, my first encounter with Ambassador Villamor occurred when I was a new junior officer in the then Ministry of Foreign Affairs in May 1982. I did not know yet at that time that he was a Sillimanian. The MFA was in its building on Padre Faura Street next to UP Manila and the Supreme Court. But we met briefly in an adjoining MFA building in Manila and later in the Philippine Embassy in Washington, D.C. during the state visit of President Marcos in 1982. Ambassador Villamor was a ranking officer in our embassy at that time under the former ambassador there, Benjamin Romualdez. After that, we lost contact after the EDSA I revolution, and the MFA became the DFA. And under President Cory Aquino, the embassy staff in Washington, D.C. was replaced with a new batch of officers under the new ambassador, Emmanuel Pelaez. From my fellowship in Harvard University and consultancy in Tufts University, I became one of the new officers of that embassy in 1987. Of course, by that time, Ambassador Villamor was no longer there. And so my real collaboration with Ambassador Villamor started when he became Assistant Secretary for DFA South, which was based in Davao City, and I was Regional Director of the Zamboanga Regional Consular Office of the DFA. Ambassador Villamor's jurisdiction included or covered the entire island of Mindanao. Mine was Region 9 and the ARMM provinces of Basilan, Sulu, and Tawi-Tawi. We collaborated, for example, in the Philippine-Malaysia border patrol and naval exercises and meetings. He chaired the Philippine delegation while I headed the secretariat. At these meetings, Ambassador Villamor's acumen and loyalty to our country were apparent. We eventually had close collaboration also in support of the programs of President Fidel Ramos in Mindanao, which were pushed for implementation by the Presidential Assistant for Mindanao, Paul Dominguez. The programs included the fierce campaign for the plebiscite approval of the peace agreement between the government of the Republic of the Philippines and the Moro National Liberation Front under Nur Misuwari in 1996. Also, the BIMP-IAGA, or Brunei, Indonesia, Malaysia, Philippines East Asia Growth Area. I was also under the supervision of Ambassador Villamor when we were engaged in repatriating from Sabah more than 1,000 deported Filipinos in 1997. We, of course, were in some joint cabinet and regional development council meetings of President Ramos in Mindanao. As we all know, Ambassador Villamor was a very active Sillimanian. He was in the Board of Trustees for 12 years. He was, at that time, a trustee in the board when I received my Outstanding Sillimanian Award in 2009. I was then the Philippine ambassador to Cuba and to the other Caribbean states. Ambassador Villamor, of course, also received his Outstanding Sillimanian Award, and he also received his Most Distinguished Service Award from the DFA. He emerged from retirement to become the Philippine ambassador to Saudi Arabia. And after his term ended in the Board of Trustees, he became the president of the Silliman Alumni Association. It was about this time that we met over a cup of coffee at the Bethel Guest House. And when he learned that I had retired and was now living in Dumaguete, he suggested that Silliman should offer a program in Bachelor of Science in Foreign Service. And to make a long story short, after I gave him what he wanted me to make, which was a program proposal and a curricula, the program got approved and was formally opened in 1215. We have had 3 batches of graduates since that time in the program now known as the Bachelor of Science in Foreign Affairs. Our lecturers in this program, either physically or through Zoom, have included alumni of Silliman University who are now with the DFA. And tonight, we will have the webinar of Assistant Secretary Kira Danganan Azucena, another Sillimanian, to our BSFA students. Our BSFA program in Silliman is a legacy of Ambassador Villamor. Ambassador Villamor was a many-splendored man. He was a workaholic, an innovative planner, a boss who paid close attention to detail, and a very jolly good fellow. He was loyal to his alma mater, and he was loyal to his country. The life and work of Ambassador Villamor, to me, seemed to demonstrate a truth, and the truth is God created us for a purpose. We have a mission to live a fruitful life, to be a positive contributor to community and humanity, and that is how Ambassador Villamor lived. In Jeremiah 1 verse 5 we read, "Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you, and before you were born, I set you apart as a prophet to be a light to the Gentiles." Our dedication and work that inspires others, accompanied by faith in God, this to me is preparing treasures of the heavenly kind. And so we read in part in Matthew 6, verses 19 to 20, "Do not store up for yourselves treasures on earth, but store up for yourselves treasures in heaven." Which reminds us that you cannot take material possessions with you when you die. Ambassador Villamor typified the kind of government official we want to see, one who serves in honesty, unblemished by material greed and corruption. And there is certainly eternal life. Looking at Ambassador Villamore's zest for life and work, we know that he cannot just passively vanish forever into nothingness. In John 5:25 and 9, we read in part, "The hour is coming when the dead will hear the voice of the Son of God, and those who hear will live. Those who did the good deeds to a resurrection for life, those who committed evil to a resurrection of judgment." And the Bible clearly tells us that there is a heaven. So many verses in the Bible allude to this. And just to mention one, John 14, verses 2 to 3 in part says, "In my Father's house are many mansions. I go and prepare a place for you." And then we read the most reassuring phrase in the whole Bible for anyone facing death, the words of Christ to that thief also being crucified. In Luke 23:43, we read, "Truly I tell you, today you will be with me in paradise." Farewell, Ambassador Villamor. We pray that you are at home in heaven, where God runs a celestial embassy, where all countries are represented and all comers like you are loved and welcome. God bless you. God bless us all. God bless Silliman. Amen.
Silliman University, Dumaguete City, Philippines, presents posthumously this commendation of excellent Christian service to Ambassador Antonio P. Villamor, a university trustee from 2001 to 2011 and in 2013 to 2018. The life eternal. But whoever drinks the water I give them will never thirst. Indeed, the water I give them will become in them a spring of water welling up to eternal life. John 4:14. All of us in Silliman University will always remember the excellent Christian heart of humanitarian service in Ambassador Antonio P. Villamor, who dedicated his life as a distinguished and exemplary diplomat. Ambassador Villamor graduated Associate in Arts, Pre-Law from Silliman University in 1953 and Bachelor of Laws from the University of the Philippines in 1957. After passing the bar examination and foreign service examination, he served the Philippine government for over 4 decades as a diplomat. He gave back to Silliman University by serving as a member of the Board of Trustees from 2001 to 2011 as an alumni representative, and from 2013 to 2018 as the Silliman University Foundation designate. He was one of those who encouraged the university to offer the Bachelor of Science in Foreign Affairs degree in 2015. He served as a trustee representative to the Silliman University Medical Center Foundation from 2002 to 2008 and served as president of the Silliman Alumni Association, Incorporated, from 2013 to 2014. On behalf of the Board of Trustees and the Silliman University community, we extend our deepest condolences to Mrs. Rosemary B. Villamor and their only child, Rosanna Marie B. Villamor Vogel. Ambassador VILLAMOR was a man of competence, character, and faith who served his calling with compassion and dedication. He was recognized as an outstanding Sillimanian awardee in the field of diplomacy on August 28, 2012, and lived a life reflective of the Via Veritas Vita. Ambassador Antonio VILLAMOR had touched the lives of many and was a blessing to his family and friends in the same way he was to us in Silliman University. We join you in our prayers. Given on this 11th day of March 2022 in Dumaguete City, Philippines, signed by the Chair of the Board of Trustees, Ricardo A. Balbido, Jr., and by the President of Silliman University, Betty Cernol McCann.
Warm greetings, dear friends. My daughter Rosanna and I would like to thank President McCann, Mr. Balbido Jr., and Mr. Boquinco for the testimonials which we included during our novena prayers. Thank you also for giving us the opportunity to thank Silliman University for the expressions of sympathy on the passing of my husband, Tony. COVID has unfortunately not given us the chance to thank you all personally, to feel the warmth of your hospitality, enjoy budbud while sitting under the acacia trees that line the quadrangle, stroll along the boulevard as the palm trees, tall and stately, wave their branches in the breeze. Tony enjoyed all these whenever he would come to Silliman for board meetings. In fact, he was seriously thinking of retiring in Dumaguete. But at last, God had different plans. On occasions when Tony and I were with Sillimanians, I could feel the personal closeness, warm friendship, and concern everyone had for one another. That special bond that is so Silliman. Yes, Sillimanians have that magic touch, a magic bond. Since Tony left us on February 26, our hearts have been filled with great joy as we celebrated his life well lived, capped by his dedication and service to Silliman University as member of the Board of Trustees under the tenures of President Pulido and President Malayang. Tony carried Silliman and its interest in his hearts wherever we were posted overseas. And I remember once while we were in Sydney visiting my siblings, he made it a point to reach out to Sillimanians. And as expected, the Sillimanians were highly respected in their fields of work and endeavor. Yes, they were, as your song says, winning victories on the court, the track, the field, still working for dear old Silliman, her honor bright to shield. I want to thank Silliman University for imbuing Tony with its motto of Via Veritas Vita. Christ was always his way, his truth, and life. I'd like to lift words from your alma mater song. Whenever we leave the halls of Silliman, roam the world ever near or far, still the faith and truth she gave us will remain our guiding star. Or in high place or lowly, fortune sends us joy or pain. To our dear old Silliman, loyal shall we ever remain. Tony was fiercely loyal to Silliman. He left his Silliman mark on everyone he met and whoever he knew from all walks of life, from heads of state, OFWs, colleagues, classmates, and so many more. Thank you, Silliman.
Affirmation of Faith, Apostles' Creed. I believe in God, the Father Almighty, Creator of heaven and earth. I believe in Jesus Christ, His only Son, our Lord. He was conceived by the power of the Holy Spirit and born of the Virgin Mary. He suffered under Pontius Pilate, was crucified, died, and was buried. He descended to the dead, and on the third day he rose again. He ascended into heaven and is seated at the right hand of the Father. He will come again to judge the living and the dead. I believe in the Holy Spirit, the holy universal church, the communion of saints, the forgiveness of sins, the resurrection of the body, and the life everlasting. Amen.
Because we are
Let us pray. O Lord our God, you have been faithful to us all through our lives. Your love to us is indeed measureless and strong. Thank you for your unfailing love, for your faithfulness that you never fail to share us. We can affirm this, dear Lord, through the people around us, that in times of mourning and grieving, your love and comfort is felt through the presence of friends, of people that surround us, that care, extend a hand, and share words of comfort and sympathies. Thank you, O God, that even in death, you continue to reveal to us this love of yours through your care and compassion, especially to the family of Ambassador Antonio Villamor. You have once again affirmed our faith that nothing can separate us from your love, even in death. You are indeed the God of the living and the dead. We are grateful, dear Lord, for the life of Ambassador Villamor, as he selflessly shared his care and compassion, his gift of wisdom, by serving our country and this institution in many ways. He may be gone in our midst, but his legacies will live on, not only to his families and friends, but to everyone whose lives were touched by his presence and by knowing him. O God, we confess our thanks to you for his life, but also our sadness because of the empty place, the void within, caused by his absence, especially for his family. May you bless and embrace his wife, Mrs. Rosemary, and their child, Rosanna Marie, in this time of their loss. Comfort them with the warmth of your care and compassion in their grieving journey. Thank you, dear Lord, for sharing to us the life of Ambassador Antonio Villamor and for making him a blessing to many people. His faithfulness in serving you is truly worth emulating, especially as each of us continues to do the tasks that you have entrusted to all of us. May we continue to live out this legacy and serve this as our inspiration in serving you and your people. In the name of Jesus Christ, we offer this prayer. And now, may the God who is our great shepherd continue to lead us down through green pastures and beside still waters. May we allow him to restore our souls, to minister to us during our struggle with fear and grief and pain. May we feel his abiding presence all through the days of our lives as we continue to walk in the path towards justice, faithfulness, and righteousness. In the name of God the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.
when I am down, and oh, my soul so weary. When troubles come and my heart burdened be, then I am still and wait here in the silence until you come and sit a while with me. You raise me up so I can stand on mountains. You raise me up to walk on stormy seas. I am strong when I am on your shoulders. You raise me up to more than I can be. You raise me up so I can stand on mountains. You raise me up to walk on stormy seas. I am strong when I am on your shoulders. You raise me up to more than I can be. You raise me up so I can stand on mountains. You raise me up to walk on stormy seas. I am strong when I am on your shoulders. You raise me up to more than I can be. You raise me up so I can stand on mountains. You raise me up to walk on stormy seas. I am strong when I am on your shoulders. You raise me up to more